Welcome back to Behind the Caution Tape. I'm your host, CrashLit. It is the Monday Rundown, and before we get into it, I want to say thank you to everyone who's been supporting me. This is episode number 50 of Behind the Caution Tape. So for everyone who's been subscribing, liking, and just really supporting it, be sure to follow, like, subscribe, comment, and just everyone who's been doing that just means the world. And thank you so much for all your support over these past 8 months. It's crazy it's been that long, but here we are with episode number 50 of Behind the Caution Tape. So before we get into everything, be sure to check out knickknack.com to get your knickknack doll. Use my promo code FIGHTONCC for 15% off your order. So get your licensed USC blind box like I got mine. But now on to the news, because there has been a lot of it this week. So congratulations to the 9 Trojans from USC football who were drafted or signed with an NFL team. So we'll start with the 3 who got drafted. Congrats to Jalen Smith for being drafted in the 3rd round, 97th overall. Woody Marks for Woody Marks going in the 4th round, 116 overall. Both Smith and Marks will remain teammates with the Houston Texans. And congrats to Jonah Monheim for being drafted in the 7th round with the 221st pick overall and joining the Jacksonville Jaguars. And then in addition, congrats to the 6 signees who will be joining professional teams. Jamil Muhammad signing with the Los Angeles Rams, Eddie Chapliski and Jacoby Covington for signing with the Kansas City Chiefs, John Humphrey and Greedy Vance Jr. for signing with the Las Vegas Raiders, and congrats to Easton Mascarenas Arnold for signing with the Cleveland Browns. And if there are any other signings that come up in the next week, I will make sure to report on them next Monday. So definitely I will be keeping an eye on all the latest on any other signees. And especially wishing best of luck to all of them, especially the guys who are unsigned. It's definitely a difficult journey, but definitely one that's doable, as evidenced by Justin Dedich, who signed with the Rams after the draft, and now he's looking to have a solid second year in the NFL. It's definitely a cool interview. So I definitely encourage you to go check out that interview. That was definitely a really fun one, especially hearing from a current NFL player. In other news with the team, spring football season ended on Saturday with the final practice. There was no spring game this year, but definitely when I was covering practice on Thursday for Annenberg Media, it was definitely clear that Lincoln Riley just feels confident about his team, and he just feels like the guys just have a really solid bond. So like I said, I'm really excited for the 2025 season because of just how much potential is, especially just all the recruiting momentum right now, and just everything just seems to be going right for USC and Lincoln Riley. And so I'm really excited to see just everything from Jaden Mayav at quarterback to what the running back room looks like, seeing Jacoby Lane and Makai Lemon go off. So just a lot to be excited about with USC football next year. So definitely a lot to be there. So USC men's basketball had a big week with more transfers coming in, headlined by Rodney Rice joining from Maryland last week. And then also earlier today, Chad Baker-Mazara coming to USC from Auburn. And definitely 2 big names there, especially with how well they've been playing. And Chad Baker, while Rodney Rice is at Maryland, we'll see Chad Baker-Mazara is on his final year and in his 5th school, and I think it'll be 6 years. So he's definitely had a bit of a journey. Started at Duquesne and then went to San Diego State, struggled with some stuff there, then went to North Florida State College and then rebounded, and then had 2 solid years at Auburn. So definitely excited to have him on board, especially after how he did when USC played at Auburn 2 years ago in Auburn. So definitely excited to have him, and I think it's just definitely going to be a great time. And obviously, while USC has gotten some good players from the transfer portal, there have been a few who've left or decommitted. CSUN transfer Keontae Jones has decommitted, likely in part because of Baker-Mazara. And in addition, Desmond Claude entered the portal, as did Rashawn Agee and St. Thomas. And while I think Claude is definitely gone for good, even though he said he was going to stay, definitely I'm guessing some things changed with Rodney Rice coming in, and definitely Claude was going to be missed. I did argue that he was probably the biggest piece that USC needed to keep, given that he was just the best player last year, but it's just how it's going to be. It's going to be a very new look team. And then in addition, Rashawn Agee and St. Thomas have also entered the portal. That also, I think, was in part driven by the fact that so far their appeals for an extra year of eligibility have been denied. So it sounds like the move is you enter the portal to try to give yourself a stronger case. And both have stated that they want to come back according to the LA Times, but they also understand that head coach Eric Musselman cannot hold spots for them. So we will see what they do. Definitely, I enjoyed watching all three of them play and wishing them best of luck in their next chapter, whether it's here or elsewhere. Then finally, USC's top incoming five-star recruit Elijah Arenas was involved in a car crash Thursday morning and was placed in a medically induced coma. And while definitely it was definitely tough to see that, it was great. He did wake up the next day and was able to communicate by via writing. And USC basketball did put out a statement, and I quote, "Our thoughts, our prayers are with Elijah and his family following the morning's accident. Please keep him, his teammates and friends, and the entire Arenas family in your prayers." So wishing him a speedy recovery and just hoping that he just is able to just, focus on his personal well-being and just really wishing him the best luck with all of it. And just hope that, yeah, like I said, just really just, I will be honest, I was looking forward to seeing him play for USC next year, but at this point, I want to see him just focus on his own personal well-being right now. So hopefully just wishing him the best of recovery and sending prayers to his family. Women's basketball has had a big week as well. I think within a few minutes of me signing off last week, and I mean that pretty much literally, actually, I checked my phone, and who else but London Jones has announced that she is transferring from UCLA to USC. London, welcome to the good side. You chose right. Force down, fight on. But it was definitely kind of like, I kind of got a laugh out of it, just being like, oh, if I'd recorded 20 minutes later, I would have been able to talk about it. So that's why I'm talking about now. I know it's pretty much old news at this point in the news cycle, but because we didn't get to it last week, I wanted to bring it up this week. So excited of London Jones joined USC from UCLA. And also USC got Diana Mendez from Washington State to USC to be a forward. So definitely some depth there. USC, I still think, could use some help getting a true power forward and true center, but definitely a lot of confidence in Lindsay Gottlieb and her staff. And speaking of her staff, she has announced a new addition. I think it was Wednesday. Nikki Blue, longtime coach in the WNBA, is coming to USC. So really accomplished and definitely, I think, really just a lot of professional playing and coaching experience. And so she's primarily been in the WNBA, but I think it's a great addition for USC to have her, especially because she also went to UCLA. So always love taking from those Bruins. But I think it's a great addition to staff, especially with the departure of Wendell Farrow to South Carolina. But definitely definitely a big time there. And Lindsay Gottlieb's statement on Nikki Blue, and I quote, "I'm thrilled for our team and the Trojan family to be able to add someone of Nikki Blue's caliber to our coaching staff. We have elite players who want to eventually become pros, so we wanted to add someone who has pro experience and who is also committed to pouring into young people on and off the court. Nikki also brings elite X and O experience and a winning character. Her life and basketball experience will add immensely to the culture we've built and the direction we want to continue to go." So that just speaks how just highly Gottlieb was when she sought out Nikki Blue to join her staff. So I'm really excited to see the addition of Blue to what's still an incredible staff. What's going to be an incredible staff for USC. So really excited for next winter and women's basketball. Meanwhile, we'll get to some other sports. Right, we'll get to everything that's happening right now. Women's volleyball has their final spring day on Saturday when they go up to UCSB. It'll be the final spring ball day for the women's volleyball team. So wishing them the best. I'll report if I do find anything. Soccer hosted UNLV at Dignity Health Sports Park on Saturday afternoon. It was the final spring match, and there were no scores reported. But just wanted to highlight those as they were obviously in the news. Meanwhile, track and field, it was off this week, but has their final regular outdoor season event, which is the USC-UCLA dual meet on Sunday. It'll take place at Drake Stadium in Westwood, meaning UCLA is hosting it this year. It's the final outdoor season event before the Big Ten and NCAA, so USC needs to come ready for this rivalry meet. It's definitely going to be a big rivalry weekend for USC, not just with track, but also baseball. We will get into that momentarily. We'll get to that later in the show. Rowing, after a week off, is up. We'll head up to Dexter Lake in Lowell, Oregon, and look to for an event up there and look to keep building on the momentum from the Big Ten invite. And it's their final event before the Big Ten championships. Men's golf had their Big Ten championships this weekend where they finished 11th out of 18 schools. They went 27 over par for an 867 total score. Antonio Safa finished tied 23rd. Jaden Demdemaya and Gavin Aurelia and Jack Buchanan finished tied 32nd. Jack Jurgi finished tied 58th. So up next, USC will find out if they make the NCAAs on Wednesday at 10 a.m. when their selection show will be announced on the Golf Channel, so you can watch it there. Women's golf found out that they will be in the NCAA Lexington Regional, which will be hosted by Kentucky, and their postseason starts on May 5th, and with the regional concluding on May 7th. So USC needs to come in strong to try and have a shot at advancing and then ultimately winning the Natty. And in addition, USC had 3 teams make all conference. Jasmine Koo being named the Big Ten Freshman of the Year. Big congrats to her. And then Koo and Catherine Park were both named to the All Big Ten first team, and Bailey Shoemaker was named to the Big Ten second team. And Catherine Park was also the USC's nominee. Won the Sportsmanship Award from USC, was the representative from USC for that award. So congrats to all of them on their accomplishments. Men's tennis lost 4-2. Meanwhile, lost 4-2 versus third-seeded Michigan State on Friday in the Big Ten quarterfinals. Spartans won the doubles point, and Peter Mack and Nathan Trove won singles matches, but MSU did get 3 singles wins to secure the duel. So USC now sits at 14-10 on the year. And they'll find out in about 2 hours at 2:30 p.m. about if their season will be extended into the NCAAs. You can watch that at ncaa.com. Women's tennis ranked 17th in the country right now. Got a 4-1 win over 11th seeded Michigan State on Wednesday in the Big Ten first round, but then lost 4-1 to UW in the quarterfinals the following day. So against the Spartans, USC got the doubles point with Grace Piper, Emma Charney, and Sloan Mora winning singles matches to help USC advance to face the Huskies. But then against the Huskies, USC got the doubles point but failed to win a singles match as UW won 4 singles matches. So USC now sits at 16-7, and they'll find out in about 90 minutes at 2 p.m. if their season will be extended into the NCAAs, and that can also be watched at ncaa.com. Lacrosse meanwhile lost 20-9 against third-seeded Michigan at College Park in Maryland in the Big Ten quarterfinals. Maddie Dora led with 5 goals, and USC kept it competitive, and it was 4-4 after one quarter, but Michigan pulled away in the second and just never looked back. So USC now sits at 10-7 on the year, and they will up next find out about their postseason bid, but they have to wait until May 4th to find out when the selection show will be viewed on ESPN. I'll provide more details about that as it approaches. Beach volleyball, currently ranked 5th in the country and being the 3rd seed in the MPSF championship, went 3-2 on the week. They got a 3-0 win against Washington on Wednesday. Lost 3-0 against Stanford on Thursday. And then on Friday had a triple header where they beat Cal 3-2 after falling into the losers bracket. Won 3-1 against UCLA, but then lost 3-2 against Stanford in the final. So the team now sits at 26-10 on the year, and they've been seeded 5th in the NCAA tournament. So up next for them is the 12th. They will face 12th ranked North Florida in the first round on May 2nd at 7 a.m. on ESPN2. And if they win that, they'll go into the quarterfinals against LMU or FAU on Saturday. And if they win that, they'll play again later that day on Saturday. All those games until the final will be on ESPN2, with the championship being on May 4th at 7:30 a.m. on ESPN. So a lot of long ways for this team, but definitely a journey they've done. They've won this thing 4 times in a row. I'm absolutely confident they can win it a 5th time. And the thing is, you can never count out USC. Even though they're going to be the 5th seed, they probably aren't going to be the favorite. They're still going to have a massive target on their back. You win this thing 4 times in a row, or just 7 times overall, everyone is aiming for you. If you're not a USC fan, you hate USC for beach volleyball because they win so much. That's what I love. So I'm super confident in this team that they're going to be able to take care of business, and I think have a very good shot of bringing home a national championship. Although it is definitely going to be a gauntlet of a bracket. You're going to have to face UCLA in the semifinals, most likely, and then also you'll have to face Stanford or TCU in the finals. So it's definitely going to be a gauntlet to get there, but I'm very confident in this team, especially if they're playing right. And I wouldn't be surprised, as I've said, if Dane Blanton decides to make another drastic change. I know I've said that all year long, but he is not afraid to make those drastic changes to his lineup if he thinks it gives his team the best chance to win. And I would not be surprised to see that happen again this week. So women's water polo is now 27-4 overall after finishing fourth in the MPSF tournament at UCLA from Friday to Sunday. So they beat in the first round, they beat Indiana 20-5, lost to Stanford the following day 11-7 in the semifinals, then lost to Cal 13-12 yesterday in the third place match. So Emily Osmus led with 5 goals against the Hoosiers, 4 against the Cardinal, and both Tilly Kearns and Osmus led with 4 goals each against the Bears. And then USC dominated Indiana from start to finish. Stanford just started strong and held on and controlled the second half enough to hold USC off, and then so did Cal, despite the USC making a second half comeback in the third place matchup. So USC should be in the NCAA tournament, considering they're in the top of the conference. And then their selection show will be on later today. It's at 5 p.m., watchable on NCAA.com. So best of luck to them as they look to extend their postseason and bring home another national championship. This team has sometimes had their struggles this year, but when they're playing their best water polo, like what I saw a few weeks ago when they hosted and beat Stanford, like they're pretty unbeatable. So I'm really confident in this team that they're going to be able to go out and take care of business. Baseball had a big week going 4-0. They got a 12-2 win at Long Beach State last Tuesday. And in that one, USC struck first and had 2 big 5-run innings in the 4th and 9th while only surrendering 2 runs. The bats were going off, as I said, and I thought really the guy who impressed me that game was Grant Govell. Going out there, having a great start, went 4 innings with 5 Ks, did give up 2 runs, but still definitely it was a really impressive start from Govell. So really excited to see what he continues to do. And then Adrian Lopez, sophomore infielder for USC, who played at Long Beach State last year. And as I've mentioned, I believe before on this show, that I've called games against him last summer, which is how I was familiar with him before he even got to USC. He did not receive a warm welcome back to Blair Field on Tuesday. He was booed every time he stepped up to the plate. But it's definitely just, this team is rolling right now, and they're dangerous. And I'll get to that. And then they got a sweep against Minnesota from Friday to Sunday. They got a 16-6 win on Friday. They won 6-1 on Saturday and won 3-2 on Sunday. So game 1, USC struck first, but then Minnesota bounced back quickly and got 6 runs before USC just rallied furiously in the second half of the game to dominate it. And then in game 2, Caden Aoki throws a complete game, giving up only 2 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, and 9 strikeouts. So a really impressive game from Caden Aoki, who has been playing really well and has probably been the best starter all year for USC. And then in addition to Aoki, Braden Dowd and Bryce Martin Grudzelanek both had big games offensively to help USC dominate the game. And then in game 3, it was mainly a pitcher's duel. So Minnesota scored first in the 2nd and 4th, but then USC got their first run in the 6th and scored 2 runs in the 9th with Ethan Hedges driving in Zach Schwartzberg, who pinch ran for Augie Lopez, who pinch hit earlier in the inning and helped USC take lead. And then Brody Purcell had a really impressive outing on Sunday, throwing 3 1/3 innings, giving up only 1 walk and 4 strikeouts, and ended the game really well and closed out the game for USC. I don't think he got the save, but still was a really impressive outing from Brody Purcell, who's been pitching really well. He also did well against Long Beach State as well, too. So really impressed with this team. So USC now sits at 29-14 on the year, 14-7 in Big Ten play. They are tied for 3rd place in the Big Ten with Oregon. So if it were to end today, Oregon would get the tiebreak due to the Ducks sweeping the Trojans earlier in the year. But USC has now won 7 straight series. They haven't dropped a series since they were swept to the Ducks. It was their 3rd sweep of the year and a 6-game winning streak, and also their 6th straight Big Ten series win too. So USC is on a tear right now. It's been so fun to watch this team. I was able to watch the game yesterday when I went home with my dad, and it was a really great game. So USC plays at CSUN, who's 10-28 tomorrow night at 6 p.m. on ESPN Plus, and then the Crosstown Showdown series against UCLA, who is 32-11 overall, 16-5 in Big Ten play at Great Park from Friday to Sunday. So the game times are 6:30 on Friday, 2 on Saturday, and 1 on Sunday, all on Big Ten Plus. And then another reason to go is I'm actually doing some cool stuff this weekend. I will be doing a game day with me for Annenberg Media, and then on Sunday I'll be playing the national anthem on my violin. So two very good reasons to show up this weekend, then also show up Saturday even. So a lot of cool stuff to definitely follow. So, but definitely a big series all around. And some other good things I want to mention as I preview this week. USC doesn't leave the West Coast for the rest of the season, and then doesn't leave SoCal for the rest of the regular season, and won't leave SoCal until the final weekend of the season when they go to UW for their final series from May 15th to 17th. And USC has a very winnable game Tuesday, but then also a big series on this weekend against UCLA, who's going to be one of the top ranked teams in the country. So at Great Park. So USC needs to win this series, and assume can just help bolster their resume, because I think they're right on the outskirts of making it according to projections. And USC just needs to win this series to help bolster their resume and also get revenge from the loss in March. And then, so it's big rivalry series. It's going to be a great series overall. And this team, both teams are doing really well, which makes it's going to make it even more fun. It's going to be a great series. I'm really excited for it. And just USC has a chance to get some good Big Ten wins and just improve their resume. So it's going to be really great to see this team just come out and compete this weekend back on their home turf. So excited for that weekend in Great Park. Our final team of the day is going to be men's volleyball, who is currently ranked 5th in the country and was 2nd in the MPSF tournament, or their 5th last week, pardon me. So they won 3-1 against 6th-seeded Stanford on Friday in the semifinals of the MPSF tournament at hosted by Pepperdine, before losing 3-1 to 4th-seeded Pepperdine the following night in the final. So Jack Duker led with 17 kills against the Cardinals. Dylan Klein led with 16 against the Waves. And then Stanford won a tight first set, but USC bounced back and played better as the match progressed and really just was hitting their stride, winning 25-19 in the fourth. It was a really competitive match, and USC knew they had to take care of business, especially because Stanford had beat them twice already on their home court. So credit to USC for coming out and taking care of business. And then in the final, the Waves won a back and forth match. It was a tight first, close second. USC did win the third, but the Waves regained momentum and took the fourth set to win the MPSF title and the conference's automatic bid. So USC, unfortunately, did not make the NCAA tournament due to there being 7 conferences and 2 at-large bids. With the Big West likely to get one, the MPSF is only going to get 1 at-large due to them being the best 2 conferences. And UCLA, due to the year they had, was pretty much already a lock for a spot regardless of whether they won. So really, the only team USC could have afforded to have lost to in the MPSF tournament was UCLA if they was in the final, because the Bruins were already likely a lock. So it did not help that the Bruins fell to Pepperdine right in a 5-set marathon the night right before USC played on Friday. I caught the 5th set. It was a great set, but it definitely was not. It was just like, okay, now I'm thinking, all right. And everyone knew it too. I talked to numerous parents and just everyone who just was kind of following it. Everyone knew what the stakes were, especially once UCLA went down. It was, all right, we got to win both. Like, it was just, everyone knew what the stakes were. So USC did not make it, but they finished 21-7 on the year. And congrats to this team on an incredible season. Like, it's definitely like, my personal bias is they should have made it. Obviously I'm biased, but you know what? Just, it's not how, fortunately it didn't work out, but still, I'm really proud of this team. It was so much fun to be at almost all their home matches, and especially go on the road and just really just cheer on and just get to, interact with the families. And just, this is one of the most fun years I've had cheering on men's volleyball because of just how well they did. And just, it's a bummer just how the bracket's structured and how it works, but still can't take away what an incredible season this team had. I'm really confident that even with the guys who are going to be leaving, that USC's still gonna have a great program next year and a great team. And obviously, I am gonna work on getting a few of the outgoing guys on my podcast in the coming weeks. So stay tuned for that for sure. But definitely, it's definitely emotional just knowing that USC likely wasn't gonna make it with the news getting confirmed. Obviously, a lot of guys were holding out hope, but it was just like hard to see it happening given with what everyone knew. But like I said, congrats on a great season, guys, and fight on forever. Thank you for all the memories. So last week, before I close out, I went 2-1, got the baseball win against Long Beach State, and then the men's volleyball win against Stanford and the loss at Pepperdine. So that puts me at 95-34 on the season, 307-116 all time. I'm 12-7 at baseball, and I'll finish the season with a 12-5 record at men's volleyball. So my plans for this week are baseball on tomorrow night at CSUN, and then baseball versus UCLA from all weekend. So for that 3-game crosstown showdown series. So that's going to do it for us here on Behind the Caution Tape. Thank you again for everyone who's been supporting me over these past 50 episodes. It's been a ton of fun. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow, whether you're a video or audio listener. All your support just means the world to me. So be sure to just thank you again to everyone. Make sure to get your knickknack blind box using the promo code FightOnCC for 15% off. And I'll see y'all next week for the Monday Rundown. Fight on.